I hope you're seeing my screen. And so I'm going to slide on over here, and I just want to marvel at this for a second. So can you all see President Biden giving his talk right now on my screen? Can you give me a thumbs up if that's what you're seeing? Okay, great. So I just sort of want you to think about this for a second. Oh, my cat is destroying a box. I don't want you to think about that. Hold on. Come here. This cat is wound up today, man. Holy cow. This is Eleanor Roosevelt, the cat. Anyways, I want you to think about this for a second and some stuff we might, and maybe you take for granted, or maybe you don't. When I first started as a journalist, I don't know how many inaugurations and, transitions to new presidencies I've been, doing that, but it's been quite a few. And when I first began doing journalism, the options, I worked at a small daily newspaper in upstate New York. The way we covered something like this was we had one option, right? This was even pre-internet. Internet came on as a tool, in my first years as a journalist. So our option really was to go out into the community with our cameras and our notebooks and to interview people and to take pictures of people. And we did a good job with it. And we would have, for something like this, we would have gone all around the community and talked to people and gotten their reactions and things like that. And then we would have put all that together for the print edition of the newspaper. And that would have come out, we would have had something today about the inauguration, but then people would have had to wait until the next day to get kind of the community reaction and all of those kinds of pieces of the story. We would have had lots of pictures and schools and things like that. One of you just mentioned, the TV station was, on campus talking to students. So think about that and compare that with what we can do now, with what you can do now as a journalist or as a storyteller. And I recognize that many of you, most of you will not go on to be journalists per se. You will take this major, this minor, or, these tools and go on to do all kinds of other things with them. I really believe, and I believe from talking with graduates of the program, that these tools will serve you well no matter what direction you go with them. But think about, so what I'm looking at and what you're looking at on my screen is the New York Times. And so the New York Times, if you look at their front page, they have a link to click on for coverage of the inauguration. And so what we have here is the speech itself. I can make that speech large if I want it to be full screen. So that's embedded, live coverage of the inauguration. And then over on the side, we have links to different articles that you can read and a scrolling live chat. And these are all the different, and you can see who they are, the different journalists for the New York Times who cover some aspect of politics and Washington, D.C. government. So we've got Katie Rogers, the White House correspondent, Florida Alert, Donald Trump's presidential pool in Palm Beach preparing to disband. The economics and tax reporter for the time, Biden returns. So they're offering their analysis of the speech on the fly, real time, as the speech is given. And if you think about it right now, all the different ways people all around the world are accessing the different tools, many of them are using this, right? Their mobile devices to, to tell the stories of what's happening in the world right now. So again, that's why this class is called Journalist's Toolbox, is for you, the challenge is to think about all the tools that you have at your disposal and ask yourself time and time again, what's the best way to tell this story? Sometimes the best way to tell that story is with words. Sometimes it's with video. Sometimes it's crowdsourcing, drawing on the public to ask them to offer their perspectives. You have so many tools at your disposal. And I hope what this class does is to give you a taste of just some of those tools and have you experiment a little with a few of those in a project that you'll work on toward the end of the semester. Our first step in the class is, and I'm gonna set President Biden over here on my other screen. Our first step in this class for the first 3 to 4 weeks is really to focus on one tool. And that's the most, I think, important tool, because if you don't use it well, then it doesn't matter how slick your website is or your interface or your whatever. If you don't write well, if you don't work with words well, then the rest of it doesn't matter as much. So I want to encourage you and spend some time on the very basics of writing. Next week, we'll do a unit on grammar, spelling, punctuation, and AP style, and do some practice with that. I can tell you 1 week is not enough time to be spent on that. I used to use 5 weeks out of this 15-week semester just on that. But there's just so much to cover in this class that I've really reduced it down to 1 week. So our goal today is to talk a little bit about the assignment I asked you all to complete before class today, this thing called Learning to Write for the Web, which you can access through the LinkedIn Learning community. It used to be called lynda.com. And then I want to turn over and show you the assignment that's due a week from today, called WordPress Basics, Writing for the Web. And make sure you understand how to do that. I asked you, if possible, to come to class today, just having created, not a WordPress site, but just a WordPress account. So we'll spend a little bit of time there, and I want to show you a couple of resources to help you get going with that. I also want to just stress that a lot of these assignments in the first week or so here, a couple of weeks, there's no reason you shouldn't get just full points for them. They're really just designed to get you in there and to make a mess, right? To just open these platforms, to mess around with them, to tinker with them, and to just get messy, to get dirty. So I hope that you'll give yourself some time to do that, because it really is stuff that you're just going to be more comfortable with if you spend some time with it. You can't break it, you can't mess it up. But if you don't spend some time with it, it's not going to be familiar to you. But you do have at your disposal some really great online tools and resources that will walk you step by step through them. And of course, you have me as a resource, and I'm around anytime to help you if you're like, I'm trying this and I can't get it. If you need some more kind of guided personal one-on-one, just let me know and we can set up a time and we can open up your screen or I can open up mine and we can walk through and figure it out together. So before I launch into a little bit of time, I want to spend the first part of class talking and hearing from you about what you learned from this Learning to Write for the Web assignment. And then we'll open up WordPress and get you going on that as well and show you some really nice resources for that as well. Before I do that, any questions about anything, any problems anybody ran into? How do things seem to be going as far as the structure of the class? Anything anybody's run into, any questions? Okay, good. And the structure of the class is making sense as far as the layout and the to-do list and the requirements and things? If something, I would ask, if something's not making sense to you, please let me know. Because if it's something that's confusing to you, I guarantee it'll be something that is confusing to other people as well. So I'm always grateful when students point out things like that to me. So let's spend a minute or more looking at this class called Learning to Write for the Web with the dude with the, oh, is it gonna make me log in? You're not gonna make me log in, are you? Here, let me try it this way. Okay, cool. So the dude who's got the cool, hello, Chris. The cool British accent, and he wears all black, so you know he's like a designer guy. He's probably not even British. He's probably like from Pennsylvania or something. So tell me, think back on it and maybe even open it yourself if you don't mind. Let's do a little bit of, there's a term called crowdsourcing, right? And you may have heard it already, but it's really when an organization, you see marketing companies do this all the time, where they say, okay, share your stories of where you're wearing our clothes, right? Like I saw one of the breweries in Duluth, like had a feature of somebody had tagged them wearing like some Earth Rider brewery swag while they were skiing in Colorado. You know, it's like, so you know, using social media and crowdsourcing to get information from people is definitely one of the tools. So take a moment, if you don't mind, and let me figure out how to get back to my Zoom here. Stop screen share. All right, I'm going to open up. I'm going to try anyways. Participants, I'm going to stop the share here. I'm going to open up my chat. Okay, so just take a moment, if you don't mind, and think back on this class, and even scroll through some of the, he seemed to, I liked how he had it organized. He had a section. And one of the things in web design is layout and design. I think this was really nicely laid out. It would have a section with one specific learning outcome, kind of give his overview. Sometimes the lectures were about 3 to 5 minutes at most, and where you got that key point, and then he would show you an example and challenge you to try and fix it yourself, and then he would show you how he did it. Thought that was really slick. So think back on that or what you already know, and think about what did you learn as far as what makes writing for the web different. What kinds of tips, advice, strategies, big and small, did he have for us that you thought, oh yeah, that makes sense? What were some of the key takeaways that you all had? So if you don't mind, each of you, at least one, but more if you can, over in the chat function, throw in what you got from it. Let me see if I can. So I'm not going to try and screen share that. I'm just going to look, and we can all look at that together. So Lauren said, you don't need to use such big words. Keep it at an 8th grade level, reading level. Don't use stock photos. Use simple words. While we're waiting for others to come up, Kennedy, the stock photos thing and the whole thing of photos, we're going to do a whole unit on visual journalism and captions and things. Yeah, don't use stock photos. I've never heard that explained quite that well. What did he mean? Why not use stock photos?
I don't totally remember exactly,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
I just know personally for the stock photos, everyone's just always overly happy, and it just doesn't seem very realistic.
Yeah. What else? Anybody help out Kennedy with the why not use stock photos? He really had some strong words to say about why that's just not an effective thing to do. No matter whether it's a website or you're working for a clothing company, why not stock photos?
There's a lot of reasons why not to, and a lot of that, or part of that, does have to be with the fact that they're just not very authentic. I don't smile like that when I make coffee in the morning. I am kind of cranky, kind of focused.
Right.
But I mean, you theoretically should be having your own photography or something that actually applies to what you're doing. Something that helps put a face to a name or a visual to whatever you're writing about. And stock photos are really hard to encompass that credibly,
Good. Yeah. Ideally, the visual images, they should tell the story of someone doing something, right? And so they're really important. So we'll talk a lot more about images, but I really thought that was a good one. Lauren, tell us a little bit more about reading levels. There's a lot of discussion, and why why is it so important? Both you and Drew mentioned sort of the tone of the language. So Lauren, what do you think? What struck you about that?
Well, I always found myself when I was writing papers trying to find bigger words for my simple words, and at that point people just get, I feel like they just get annoyed. I get annoyed when I have to stop my reading to look up a big word because I don't know what it means. So I think just keeping it simple is just easier for the readers to understand and be more engaged with it, so they don't get annoyed with the large words.
I've heard people react negatively to that suggestion to write at this 8th grade level because you're thinking that people aren't that smart. What would you say to that challenge? It's like, I'm not going to dumb down what I'm writing for my readers. How would you answer that criticism of writing at a simple level?
I don't know. I get some people like the larger words, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what I would say to that, I guess.
Drew, how about you? You said simple words. Can you expand a little?
Yeah, I can like tune people out. Like if you use big words and stuff, and like you're supposed to kind of keep it, or what was it, like the fifth grade, I think, for like a for your homepage before you
Yeah,
get into like a paragraph or something.
Yeah, right. He had 3 levels, right? You start at 5th grade, then you ramp it up, and then you ramp it up a little bit, right? As people drill down a little bit farther. Something like that. Um, yeah, I think that's really great advice. And I think it's actually harder to do than you think. I think that, initially maybe you write something and you do it at a level that might be a little bit higher, but then you think about how can I make this simple and accessible to readers? Let's see. Let me look through our list here a little bit more. Isabella, tell us about Write for the Quick Readers. People tend to skim. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So he said that a lot of people, and I feel like we're all guilty, tend to skim like when you're just trying to pick out certain pieces of information.
Right.
So, going back to like the whole 5th grade and 8th grade level thing, I think it's important to have those levels in everything, like the heading, the homepage, because you don't know who's going to read what.
Right. Yeah, I mean, people, and why is that? When people go to the web, what does he say about the behavior of people who are on a website? What are they usually, not always, what are they usually doing? Can somebody help me out with that? Maybe somebody we haven't heard from yet.
Researching, they know what they're looking for, they're informed, and if they don't have it, they're pretty quick to hop off of there and find another resource.
And so with that in mind, talk to me somebody about how you should lay out. What tools do you have as far as both? He talks about kind of breadcrumbs or tools that make your site navigable, and and some of the basics about how you should present visually your copy. Tell me just a couple of the things along those lines. Sarah, you got something? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say the old F-shaped column. That one stuck in the brain. Or
What is that?
F-shaped style, kind of how readers go through online content, starting with the headline, kind of getting a summary of it.
Yeah.
And then I think dive in, kind of skimming through the middle, and then anything at the bottom is, pretty much glossed over.
Good. Yeah. And I don't know if I do a good job at it, but I'll tell you that I try to do it. If you look even at today's module for our online class, right? I'm trying to give you a summary. I'm trying to use bullets. I'm trying to use bold. So I know that you're in a hurry. I know that you want to know what's important, what to do. And so how you can navigate it well. Somebody tell me about what he says about hyperlinking. What are some of his takeaways for how to use hyperlinks, and should you use hyperlinks?
So he said a lot about how you need to be careful about what you're hyperlinking. And that's something that I've actually kind of whipped into the minds of quite a few people over time, is like, you want to highlight something. You never want to highlight like one individual word. You want to highlight like a phrase, and that phrase should be like the phrase that's going to catch people's eye, because the formatting, like the HTML formatting of highlighting blue, is going to draw their eyes to that. And so you want that to be like a main point, but you also want what you're linking to directly describe what the link is going to bring you to.
Right. And so I said today, I recommended try out this step-by-step guide to help you use WordPress. And so I chose step-by-step guide because that's the thing I'm linking you to. So somebody other than Hunter to answer this question for me, like, is it okay to use click here? So you look at this step-by-step guide, and then I could go parentheses, click here. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Give me like either your I'm just playing with tools here. Give me a thumbs. Oh, you can't do a thumbs down. I guess you can say yo. Anyways, yeah. So is that good or bad? Click here. Click here is bad. It's bad. Madison, how come?
I don't know. It looks bad, and you should probably just list it out right there instead of taking them to another website.
Yeah, expand. You're right. It looks bad, but expand on, and it's like old school. That's how we used to do it. We would say, click on this hyperlink, back in the day. Somebody else expand on beyond looking bad, what's a more specific critique of it? What do you think, Ani? Click here. Is it good or bad? Why isn't that a recommended approach or an idea, a way to
I
do?
don't know if this is right, but I feel like I don't even know if it was in the thing, but like I
That's
feel
okay.
like it would take away from your like website. Like it'd bring you somewhere else and take away from like what you're doing on your website.
So
Why would you want to bring in someone to like a different website when you're trying to tell them something on a website?
And
Like
you know,
what
it's funny. I'm glad he talks about that. And what you're saying is a reason. I used to do a lot of workshops with newspapers, and they'd say they wouldn't want to hyperlink. And the Duluth News Tribune, the Daily in Duluth, used to never link to other resources because of that idea. Is that true? The philosophy of never, you know, so let's say a journalist has a philosophy. I don't ever link to anything outside my own website because I don't want people to leave my website. What does fancy British dude with the black clothes say about that? Sarah, what do you think? Are you there with us?
Yeah. Can you repeat the question, please?
Oh, that's okay. Anybody, what is our British guy say about hyperlinking and sending people away from your website? Is that a good, does he say that's good?
They're reputable resources. It's a good tool to validate the information that you have on the page. I think
So
this-
he and I would encourage you as you're thinking about your own projects. He says that by hyperlinking to valid, you know, reliable sources outside of your own website is a smart thing to do, because then readers know they can count on you. They can trust you. So rather than leave you and never come back, they're going to go, wow, you know, I was on this website and they sent me over to this other website, and I thought, wow, okay, I can count on them to be kind of this clearinghouse of expertise on this, whatever the topic is. Does that make sense to you all? And the click here, his critique of click here, which I think is a good one, is simply, it's not specific enough, right? You know, it's like having a headline on your website that says, here's a story. Yes, I get it. There's a story, but what's the story about, you know? So if you want people to click on a link, tell them what it's about. Something I learned yesterday is, let's say your URL that you're, you know, the link you're giving them is to a PDF file. What does he say you should do about that? I thought this was cool. I like this. You should warn them, right? So if you're, you know, so if you're going to click, you say, click on this user manual for how to put your blender together. I don't know how that came into my head. He would say PDF file, this, and this is how big it is. So that if somebody clicks on it, have you ever had this happen? You click on it, it's like, oh crap, it's a PDF file and it's giant and I've got a limited data plan, you know, so let people know, you know, make it all navigable. Anything else from this class that you thought was useful? And viruses, yes. Let me just look quickly and then we'll move on. We're at 11:30, so we've got about 20 minutes. We're talking about, and so I'm going to share again for a second, if I can figure out how to do that. I'm going to share my screen again. Yeah, so for your final class assignments, you'll have a rubric. And I would say a lot of the things that this guy has in his lesson are things that I would have in your rubric. And for the small assignment you're going to work on between now and next Monday, so he talks about visual, the tools, how people read, they scan, the language and tone, formatting of text, information-rich signposts. We didn't really talk about that. Let me see if I can get to that. I wanted to show you one thing there.
Just like in real life, catch their attention.
There we go. Perfect. So these are, you know, his point is that on the WordPress sites and every place else you're going to work, you'll have other tools at your disposal. But when it comes to writing, these are the main 3 tools you have at your disposal. They are headlines, and we'll spend a whole week talking about how to write headlines well. They're the summaries that kind of give people a little, and I really like that, Ben. I don't know where you got it from, that F style as far as the layout of pages, but a summary is, I think, the top part of a capital F, right? Then your subheadings that help people kind of scroll and skim through quickly, and then links. So those 4 tools I think are really important ones. Front loading your content, we didn't talk much about that, but it's simply the idea that probably you learned in Introduction to Journalism, which is this old school style of journalism, the inverted pyramid, right? Where you tell people what's most important right away, so they know what they're going to find on that page. Writing simply, talking about images. We're going to spend a whole quite a bit of time talking about images already. Dating your content, I think, is really useful. I personally get quite frustrated sometimes when I'll go to a website and I don't see when the article was published and don't know, therefore, if the information is still relevant. Okay. Anything else? Cool. And you printed, you downloaded your certificate, put it up on the assignment thing. Did you print it? Anybody print it and frame it and put it on your wall? I see Hunter behind you. Is that your I completed the writing for the web certificate there behind you, or no, up on the wall there?
No, but I do have it on order for a frame.
Okay, good, good. All right, let's move on. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the assignment that's due on Monday. So again, I guess I will share the screen, but I encourage you to go ahead and open this with me and follow along. So I'm in today's module. I guess I'll share the screen again. And if you have any questions or anything, or something's not making sense, please just give me a shout as we're moving along here. So this is the assignment. I clicked to off of the module, and it's worth 20 points. And really these 20 points are all based on this list down here. And it's really just, I'm going to open up your WordPress page and just go through. I'm not editing your writing. You can write about anything in the world, but I just want to see the writing. I want to see that you've done the work. So I'm gonna look to see that you've created a WordPress site, that you've chosen a theme. If you don't know what a theme is, that's okay. That you've used some of the widgets, that you know. So really, what you want to do is create a WordPress site and go, okay, here's the stuff I need to have on it, and so here is your list. I hope pretty simple. Let me ask you all for a second. Can you give me a thumb? I don't know if I can do this. How many of you have done something with, sorry, hold on one second. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you are familiar with and really very comfortable working in WordPress or other content management systems. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up, or go like this if this is all very new for you and you're going to be learning quite a bit by doing this. Great. All are welcome here, right? So for some of you, this is going to be stuff that's a little bit of a review. I mean, I've been doing this since we could do this. And every time I teach the class, I learn a little bit more. So if you're at that place where you feel a certain level of comfortability, if you feel comfortable doing this stuff, good. Challenge yourself by raising the bar, by learning new things with this class and these assignments. If you're brand new to it, don't worry. We have all these tutorials. It's easy, I hope, and I think you'll find it's intuitive, and you've got me as a resource to help you along as well. Okay, so back to this assignment. And simply what I want you to do is to create from scratch a WordPress site. I want you to title that site the Journalism 2101 Portfolio. It's not a very exciting name, but this is the WordPress site where you're just going to play, right? Where over the course of the semester, you will do different exercises and assignments, and just, this is where you'll put stuff. It's not what you'll do. You'll create a whole separate WordPress site for your final class project. And all I want you to do between now and next Monday is play with it. And in playing with it, make sure you've done all the things that are down on that checklist below. A very low stakes, very much easy 20 points. You either did the work or you didn't, kind of assignment. If you've never done any of this before, this is the place to go right here. So I've put up a number of tutorials, workshop resources, and basics. I'm not requiring you to do these, but if you're new to this and really need some slow step-by-step, then this is the place for you to go. One of them is yet another of these LinkedIn learning modules, which I think they're really good. This is a great resource that we have because of our connection with UMD. I love them. And so this is a class on the WordPress essential training, basics, starting from scratch and assuming you know nothing. So it would be a really good place to go, and you'd learn a ton in a very slow, step-by-step fashion. So you might want to spend your time doing that. But if you can move a little faster, and really not too fast, WordPress.com itself has a great tutorial. And so I clicked on, and you can do it too, this recommended step-by-step guide. If you did all of this, you would pretty much be done with the assignment. So they walk you through all the different steps. So I'm going to talk about them, and then we can go ahead and do them and tinker for a little bit. First thing you're going to do is get started, fill in your profile, name your creation, wordpress.com. You can create a web address if you want, but I'll show you in a minute. You're going to have a WordPress account, but within that account, you can have, I don't know, I would say as many different specific websites as you want. I think I have like 8 now, and they haven't told, and it's still the free version, right? All of this is free, by the way. And they still haven't told me I have too many. So I don't know what the max number is, but so far I haven't gone over it. Choose between a plan. You're going to choose free. You're going to get your profile set up. You're going to add your site's title. That's fine. They say learn your way around WordPress, so you can visit Reader. You can explore your My Sites menu. I think this is just a really good step-by-step process. When they say visit the Reader, one thing that WordPress hopes and wishes would happen is that they would create in WordPress a community of bloggers, website creators. I don't think that really happens very much, but they have that vision of it, and maybe it happens more than I think. Is anybody a regular visitor to WordPress Reader? You are. Are you serious, Isabella?
No, not to the Reader. I thought you just meant like WordPress.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Cool. So then pick a theme. So what is a theme? A theme is sort of, WordPress is this platform, and you can take, and you have these words and you have this site with all these posts. Well, you can change the look of it by choosing different themes. So I always think about themes, you think about a closet full of clothes, right? And so you can pull out, like today, I picked out my fancy flannel shirt, which, by the way, I found in the woods under some dirt. But I think it's kind of nice. Anyways, I don't know why I'm talking about that. Anyways, so a theme is just the different layouts and styles, and you can get really fancy ones, but you have to give them money for it. So again, I would recommend you choose the free ones. And then you customize. So you can put up headers, specialized content with widgets. What are widgets? Anybody want to take a quick stab at what a widget is?
They're like the little things on the side, or they help you like build your website. Like they're not necessarily the things on the side, but that's an example where it says like homepage, or it's like certain chunks of your website.
I think little things on the side is a pretty good definition, but they can be little things on the side, little things on the top, and little things on the bottom. And so they can be things like you want to embed your Facebook feed or your Instagram feed, or you want to have people view comments or the most read stories. There's all kinds of widgets that you can choose and use. So it's a really fun way to add some layers and depth to your WordPress site. You can choose different fonts and colors. I wouldn't worry so much about that. And then here's the part where you really want to get going, is you want to write a post or a page. It's really important that you understand the difference between the two. Hopefully we can talk about that for a second. You can publish your first post. You can publish your first page. You can create different menus. You can grow your readership. We don't need to worry about that stuff just yet, but we'll talk more about these things by creating tags. Find other blogs to read, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Go mobile. We don't need to worry about that either. So that is what we're going to do here. Any questions? You with me? Okay. How many people we got? So let's do this. Give me a thumbs up if you've got WordPress open already. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, if you don't, go ahead and do it. But if you just rather sit back and watch the show, you can do that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and go to wordpress.com. And so I'm already logged in. I wonder if I should log out. But so this is your main dashboard, right? Or it eventually would be. So all my sites. And so you can see I have all these different sites, and I used to use them a lot more. WordPress and blogging platforms are really used much less than they used to be, in part because of sites like Instagram and others. Like for a while I had, for example, a food blog. Can you all, am I sharing? I'm not sharing, am I? Am I sharing? Not sharing. There we go. Give me a shout if I'm saying I'm sharing and I'm not, please. All right. So I used to have a food blog. Well, why would I have a food blog? I can use Instagram and post pictures of the food I eat. I did a bicycle trip from Duluth down to Madison, Wisconsin. So I created a WordPress specific site for that project. I've created a bunch of different classes. I did workshops for a newspaper institute. I created a WordPress site just for the workshop to show people. And then I've created for this class a ton of different WordPress sites. So if you've got WordPress open right now, then follow along with me and let's do this. Let's start from scratch here. So I'm on the bottom left-hand corner. I'm just going to go add a new site. My site is called, I'm going to call it Delete This Later. So that I remember that this is just an experimental site. But you might as well get going on Monday's assignment. Call yours Journalism 2101 Portfolio, right? And so you're working on your homework now. And it says, don't worry, you can change this later. I'm going to choose a domain. I'm going to say, it wants me to, see where it says recommended delethethislater.com? Oh, sure. It's included if I use a premium plan. Well, forget it. I'm on free, man. I'm all about the free. But if you really are working on something that's going to be permanent, and let's say you work for, let's say you get a job later, and you're working for a car dealership, as one of our students is, and they say, does anybody know how to create a WordPress or a website for our class? Or maybe you're working for a local nonprofit. Who knows? And you can go, yeah, I do. You can say it maybe a little more confidently when you're done with this class. So if you do something like that, then maybe you do want to have a domain name that you use. Isabella, do you have a website where you have an actual domain name?
Yeah, I do. I run a blog.
Awesome. Is it your own personal blog?
Yes.
Cool. What's it about?
I review like movies and music and books and stuff like that.
Oh, so awesome. Well, maybe sometime if you're comfortable, maybe you can present it to the class and show us a little bit about how it's evolved and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, fun. Okay, great. So anyways, Delete This Later is oh, and it's even worse. It's called Delete This Later 149.142.979. That because apparently other people have chosen this domain name. So anyways, I'm going Delete This Later. It's really catchy. There. And so now I'm going to choose a design. So when we're talking about design, we're really talking about different themes. And again, you can get really pretty fancy ones. But if you do that, they cost money. So I don't care that much at the moment. I'm just trying to demonstrate something. And I'm going to say, customize this design with typography. You can always change it later. So you can choose. So I chose a theme, which is going to change the different appearances. Let's go back to that for a second. So these are different themes, right? So you could have the exact same words and the exact same pictures on your WordPress site, but depending on the theme, it's going to look different. And you can pick a theme now, and like it says, you can change this later. You can change this every hour if you wanted to, but you probably want to be consistent. So I'm going to choose the first theme. Then you've got all these different type styles. All of this, it's amazing how much this has grown and changed and gotten prettier. I want to point out something else here. Do you see up on the top of the page right here where my cursor is? This is how it looks on a desktop. This is how it looks on a tablet. And this is how it looks on a mobile. The last time I looked at readability statistics 80% of the traffic from most websites comes through a mobile device. So you always want to make sure your stuff is compatible. What's the fancy jargon term for whether it looks good on a desktop, a tablet, or a phone? Anybody know? It's called responsive, right? Makes sense. So you want your website to be responsive. So if that's how it looks on my phone, that's how it looks on my tablet, that's how it looks on my desktop. So I'm going to go like that. Custom domains, skip that for now. We're not doing any of those things. Premium, no. I want to go free. Select. Da, 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 da. Man, you guys are annoying. How do I get going here? I'm going to go select for 0. Don't spend any money. I'm building my site. Welcome to your website. Edit your homepage. So you can see WordPress wants you to use this and feel comfortable. It's going to walk you step by step through all of these things. It's going to tell you all the different things that you can do. And then it's going to say, okay, go ahead and get started. Jane Doe is a designer. I think it's already walked me to my first post. I guess I'll go ahead and press launch. Free. You're almost there. Complete the following steps to launch your site. I did that. Continue. No, I hate you so much. There, select. Again, your site name, launch your site. Your plan, free. So annoying. All right, your site will be ready shortly. There. Okay, everybody with me? Okay. If you're not, give me a shout, say something. So this is what's called your dashboard, right? And this is where it's kind of command central for your website. And there's a lot of buttons over here on the left-hand side that you can mess with. The only thing I want to show you at the moment, I'll show you where a couple of things are. So you've got over on the left-hand side, you've got your dashboard that shows you all the kind of tools that you have, kind of control central. Over here are the different tools for creating new content. One of the things I want you to try and understand, but it usually takes a little while for this to stick with students, is the difference between a page and a post. For this first assignment, all I'm doing is asking you to write a post. But you can change your theme, all these kind of things. But there's a difference between a page and a post. Isabella, I'm going to pick on you again. Can you tell me what is the difference between a page and a post?
So like a page would be like, I mean, a page, you'd have like your contact page. So it would be like a little bar and you'd click contact and it gives you all the information and it's going to be the same thing every single time. Where a post is something new and different and it's basically what you're writing.
All right. So let me ask you all a question. If I was going to have a post that's the About Me page for our website, if I was going to have a place where readers could find that, Isabella, is that a page or a post?
Probably a page. I mean, depending if you want to keep it there all the time, it's probably
right.
a page.
Page. It stays there, right? But a post, what would be something you put up on a post? Anybody?
Like a press release.
Yep.
Or earnings release, something like that.
Perfect. It's new information. It's the information that you want people to see right away. Because if people subscribe to your website, or if you have a way where you pair that with anytime you put up a new post, it launches onto your Facebook feed or your Twitter feed, that's where that new content shows up on a post. So I want to show you one of the things, please remember this and pay attention with me. So on themes and customize, if you go over on the left-hand side or over on the right-hand side, I'm asking you to play with some widgets. So widgets are those things you can put around your page So if you customize your theme, you can see all of these different ways you can mess with it. The only thing I want you to worry about for next week is I want you to play with a few widgets. So I've got widgets at my footer. Footer is the bottom of your web page. So let's say I want to add one widget. I click on add a widget, and these are all the different widgets you can play with. I don't know what half of these are. I don't know what 3/4 of these are. But you can add your Instagram feed. So let's say you have a website and it's about food, and you put your food images on your Instagram account. So you can have that loaded on the side of your page. So if I click on Instagram, and then it's going to say connect with your Instagram account. So you go through that whole process, and then that would show up on the bottom of your page. So that's where widgets are. But if you look on the to-do list, here's another thing that I want to encourage you to do is just keep Googling for help. So it's like, you're looking through the checklist for this assignment, and it says add a widget. And you're like, well, I don't remember how to do that. Well, just click on how do I add a widget in WordPress? And you'll find the link to how to do that. Let's add one post to your site, assuming you're with me. So let's go ahead and add one blog post. So I clicked on the right-hand side, write a post. It's going to load for me. I'm going to add a title, delete this post later, right? So that's my headline, and I can start writing. Here are some words. These are my words. I really don't have much to say. I'm going to say that. I really don't have much to say. Do you notice I'm not using any capitalization? I'm doing a really horrible job with this. And that's okay. If this were an assignment for this class, as long as you had the required elements, I'm not grading you for grammar. I'm not doing any of those kinds of things. What I don't see here, so you have to click on these blocks of type to see the other tools that you have at your disposal, right? And so let's say that I want to add a hyperlink. So I'm going to say, let's say my hyperlink is, I'm going to link to my Instagram. Okay, I'm going to link to Instagram for no particular reason. There's lots of pictures of the inauguration going on right now. Actually, okay, so I took a picture of my partner watching the inauguration. And so this is the image. Well, if I click on this, it's going to grab the link to that image. You don't need to worry about all that. But, and then I'm going to say, here are some words. So I'm going to select those words, right? So I've got copied in my, I don't know where it's copied, but I've saved a copy of that link, that URL. And now I've selected some words. And I posted those, and I've highlighted some words that I want to make the hyperlink. Well, there's my little link tool. If I paste that, I'm going to insert that URL. I'm going to hit return. And so there it is, right? So you can add stuff. You can remove blocks. You can insert stuff. I don't like the look of this, but I guess I'll stay with it for a minute. Save draft. I'm looking for where I can add my tabs and things like that. The interface is a little different than it was last time I looked at it. So I'm going to okay, so here's my post for a minute. But so on this post, I could add images, and all I'm asking you to do for this assignment, remember, are 3 things. First, create your WordPress site. 2, put up one post that has all of the required elements I'm looking for on the checklist. And 3, to work on changing your theme and adding some widgets to that same WordPress site. That's really it. I hope you'll do more than that. I hope you'll spend some time tinkering with it. I see that we're also just about to be out of time. So I'm pressing publish. I want to show you 2 other things, and then we'll be done with this class. One is I'm going to add some tags. Somebody tell me what tags are. Somebody other than Isabella. What are tags and why are they important? Give it up, Hunter. You got it? Are you there?
Yeah, I was moving stuff around in here, but I promised I was listening.
No worries. So somebody tell me what a tag is. If it's you, that's cool.
Yeah, so tags are like kind of like keywords that can be associated with your post. So like if it's a post about the inauguration, you would probably tag it with like Biden, inauguration, president, basically some of those keywords, so that when someone like Googles those keywords, yours might pop up higher.
Absolutely. And on your website too, tags are little keywords that it's one way of allowing you and your readers to sort information, right? So if you're writing all about movies, I think you said you were doing, Isabella. So maybe you did a review of a movie and it's a mystery, right? So if you give it the tag of mystery and then you click on that, then if you've done your job and you've written 20 different movie reviews, but 4 of them are about mysteries, if you click on that mystery tag, you'll see the other mystery movies. So it's a sortable, searchable term. So I'm going to publish this really poorly written post on my poorly done website. And now I can view it. It's actually up there on the web, and it really literally is public now. The whole world can see this. And you can see a couple of things about it already. First, this is a terrible, I don't know, actually might get a lot of reads. So here's my headline. Here's the sort of the general information about it. You can see I don't have a category. It's really important that you create categories for stuff as well. That's a higher level sorting tool, and you should have a few of those on a website, whereas tags you should have a lot of. Here's my URL. So if I did my job, I can click on that and it'll go to that Instagram post. So there it is. I'm getting close. If I spent maybe another hour on the project I've just done right here, I would be pretty darn close to having met the requirements for the assignment that's due before the start of class next Monday. So I want to respect your time. I've already gone 4 minutes over the scheduled class time, and you all may have other things you need to get to and other things you need to do. Before I log out, does anybody have any questions? Anybody have anything you're wondering about, worrying about? Okay.
Are you going to be recording? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you're good. Go for it.
I was going to ask, are all the Monday, Wednesdays going to be recorded, or is that going to be?
I don't know. I recorded this one because I wanted to give people a chance to watch the inauguration, but I also want to make sure people show up. You know, I think it's important that we have a community of people talking about this stuff here now too. So I'm assuming you wouldn't mind it to be recorded because you could then refer back to it later.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me think about that. I appreciate the question, and I'll give that some thought.
Perfect.
Any other questions or thoughts or anything?
I was just gonna say, and I'll tell it to the whole class too, since it might affect you guys. But I sent you an email. You were asking about course structure. I made a suggestion that maybe we could publish the people tab, because when we're all on Zoom, it's harder to know who's necessarily in your class. And that people tab shows you the class list as well as like incorporated emails and everything.
That's on Canvas?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And if people wanted to or are concerned about privacy, they can opt out of some of that too?
Yeah. You on your Canvas profile can take out or put in any information you want.
Great. You emailed me that suggestion?
Yeah, I did.
Thank you. That's great. Thank you very much. Okay. Good. I will see you all on Monday. This is the last of our weird sort of half weeks because of holidays and the time the class started. I'll see you everybody on Monday. This assignment should be completed by then, and we're going to just jump right on into a week-long crash course into grammar, spelling, punctuation, and AP style that we'll have a quiz on at the end of the class. But again, don't sweat it. This early part is just learning stuff, tinkering with stuff, fairly low stakes work, but it's work you got to get done. So thank you all.